I started this event because it's really hard to find hard-charging, like backcountry guys that are like stay in shape year-round. They test themselves. They like the Crucible event. They like to like just really push themselves, and they're just a glutton for punishment.
There's some defining moments in my life where I'm proud of myself, but that was it. I was like, you know what? I can do this. And I took off running, and it's funny when I look at the video because I'm trying to still run with my poles, and I'm like this total
Look like Bambi out there.
But I'm just like, oh.
There's so many benefits to fitness and healthy lifestyle. It teaches you discipline, and nothing in the world feels better or tastes better than discipline.
People need to test their fitness more often than they do, because everybody can get kind of stuck in a rut. It doesn't matter if you do CrossFit 5 days a week.
Just be consistent. You're not going to change the world. You're not going to eat the elephant in one bite. But if you can be consistent and disciplined to take a bite every single day, it's going to do nothing but benefit you, benefit your confidence. One of the things written into the mission statement of Train to Hunt is to bring families back together. They're sweating together and they're shooting together, and that's what the world needs more of, right? Like families that play together stay together. That's all there is to it. I get emotional every year at Nationals because of all the hard work that goes into it. I see the smiles, I see the friendships, I see what's happening, and it is exactly what I wanted to happen, and it just feels so rare.
Call it a midlife crisis, call it whatever you want. Right. I don't care, but it's the healthiest midlife crisis I know of.
Attaboy.
Right?
Better than buying a Corvette and moving.
No, there's still a Corvette on my list. Just say no. So thanks, you guys. Yeah. I just, from me to you publicly, I finally get to do it. I really appreciate it. Hey, everybody. This is Brandon with Wilderness Attitude Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. We're at the Sheep Show in Reno, Nevada. And I have the utmost pleasure of having the Ryan and Kenton Clairmont here with me today in the Wilderness Athlete booth. They don't really fully comprehend how much they've impacted my life. I got some funny stories about that. We'll get into that in a little bit. But, gentlemen, thanks for being here.
Yeah, no problem. My pleasure.
Thanks for having us.
I mean, you guys are super busy. You guys have your irons in the fire. You guys network hard.
Yeah.
You guys lay down some serious foundation at these shows. So thanks for giving me your time to be here.
Yeah, no problem. It's been a long time. We've been trying to make this happen since, the end of last season.
Yeah. I think Colorado Train to Hunt, we talked about it.
That was July.
Yeah.
July last year.
But, that's one of those things, like we communicated a little bit, and it's like it's like you can't kick down doors to make things happen because it's just not it's not how I work, and it's just not how, I think life should be.
Right.
I mean, obviously I think you got to kick down some doors and make some things happen, but I knew this would happen someday.
Yeah.
I knew.
And we could have probably made it happen like over a phone, but it's way better in person.
I'll tell you what. There's, I do some Skype stuff. I don't do phone at all. Every podcast I listen to via phone drives me nuts, man. And once you lose me, it's over. I'm out.
Yeah.
Right. And to be honest, even I might give you 2 or 3 times at the phone gig.
Yeah.
And then I won't listen to you anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean that's harsh.
Yeah.
Right to say, but I think that you can't replace the emotional value, and you can't replace that communication level.
Yeah.
With what you get face to face.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And even on Skype, you can get some, and it's okay. It's doable. I mean, we, Kate and the system that we use is fantastic. It turns out great. The quality is fantastic, and when I can't ever complain about doing Skype, because there are some people that I want to talk to that I may never, ever meet in person.
Right.
I don't.
Right.
And so you weigh that out, right?
Right. Right. Yeah. And we knew we were both coming to Sheep Show, so here we are, buddy.
Here we are, man. Yeah. Well, so I'm going to rewind. I mean, my listeners, they've probably heard this too many times, but I have to rewind and go there with you guys standing in front of me personally. So, I got in the WA gig. I put a little time in to train to get better on a hunt because I felt like my mind could take me places my vessel wouldn't.
Yeah.
And it surely was a change in my life. And then, after that hunting season, I had a great hunting season. And then next thing I know, I found myself finding out about this Train to Hunt thing, right? And I was like, what in the heck, And I watched some of the videos from some of the early Train to Hunts, and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like,
those early videos are they're rough.
They're intimidating.
Yeah,
they are bingo.
Yeah.
Intimidating.
Intimidating.
And, I just kept on training in my little concrete box inside. And then eventually I started thinking to myself, I need to get out of these walls. And even in the weather, I'd go outside and do my circuits outside and do all this stuff. And my son-in-law owns this gym. And he would, people would be like, well, we're doing the circuit right here, but Brandon set the circuit up outside. If you want to go out there with he'd get, I don't know, I was always wearing WA stuff, so he's all, like this wilderness attitude dude out here. You can go out here with him if you want.
Yeah, right.
And that's how my whole name came about. But so then I show up at Tucson Train to Hunt, and I was, man, that's when you walk into your first Train to Hunt and you don't know any better about the people, the camaraderie and the family and the genuine welcoming aspect of it all. You're intimidated. I was scared. I mean, I remember when I ran into Tim, and he was there, and we both were just kind of checking out the joint the day before, and I was like, I'm sizing him up. He's like, well, I'm 43, and I'm like, oh, shit. You got to be kidding me. You were in the same class, right? I was like, oh.
Right.
And I just went there, though, with the mindset that I wanted to finish.
Good.
But I wasn't going to be last.
Yeah, right. Yeah, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I was not going to be that guy.
Yeah.
Not that guy's it. That's okay.
Yeah, that's
right.
fine.
But for me, that was my goal.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the next thing I know, I shot well, which I was totally stoked because I made it through the course. I took 24 arrows because I was so unconfident on being able to read distance.
Yeah.
And I made it through the course with the same arrow. When I walked away from that, I was like,
I already won.
Baby.
I already won.
It's a win.
I already won.
Yeah.
And so then we get a little bit further down the line, and then we hit that meat pack. And, of course, I didn't know who Ryan was. I didn't know who any of you really were.
Yeah, right.
I was just there solo with my wife, and I didn't know anybody there. So we get going on that meat pack. Now, I always forget his name. Who's the gentleman that won Masters the 2 years before, but he did the rim to rim to rim?
Tony.
Tony. Thank you. So then, everybody's talking about Tony, right? And I'm looking at Tony, I'm like, oh, jeez. Yeah, he's a specimen by far, right?
Yeah,
and I'm like, well, you know what, Brandon? Remember why you're here. Remember why you're here, Brandon. Remember why you're here. Just finish. Just do your thing.
Yep.
Put your energy into yourself and do your gig.
Yep.
And then we hit that meat pack, which I think a lot of people underestimate. Like, I talk to people who've done train hunts all over the country, and I always try to tell them, I'm like, we did 3.1 miles. They're like, yeah, but you weren't at 10,000 feet. I said, yeah, quick, hold on. I never even thought about training to walk 75 yards in a pea gravel wash with 80 pounds on my back.
Right. Yeah.
It was almost like every step I took, I felt like I was going
sliding backwards.
And
that was your first year?
That was my first year.
The 2-loop 3 mile
where he
Ryan
took
was
off
actually
like
competing.
a freaking gazelle.
Where Ryan was actually competing at that one.
Yeah. And so what's funny is, remember they had that little pavilion about halfway through?
Yep.
Or, whatever?
Yeah.
And so all our families were at the pavilion. Callie tells me later after the race, she's like, he was way in front of you, Tim. And when he went by, he had a smile on his face, and he was just waving, cruising right along, man, like, yeah, and just having fun doing his gig, right? And then that was the crash landing, right? The infamous crash landing, me and Tim.
Yeah.
I mean, Tim came on hot. Well, I don't know if anybody saw that part, but we had to go up those railroad tie steps.
Yep.
Well, when I hit the first railroad tie step, I mistimed it, and I went down. I went to my knees right there. And in trying to get up right there, Tim caught me.
Oh.
Right?
Yep.
And then it was like we were on the steps. And
this is this close to the finish line.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
jeez.
And then we got to the top of the steps, and then I feel he starts taking off running, and I'm like, and so I start running, and I look at the video now, and it's like I'm running with my poles, and I'm like the only one that even had poles, and thank God I did, because that's the only way I made it through those washes.
Yeah.
And I took off running, and it's funny when I look at the video because I'm trying to still run with my poles, and I'm like this total. I can't use the
word.
Look
like Bambi out there.
There's a word in my mind that I want to call myself what I look like, but it wouldn't be right to say. But I'm just like, oh. And then he trips, And when he fell down towards me, I thought he was going to take me out. So I took this off step with my right foot to miss him.
Yeah.
And then when that happened, my pack turned, and I was going wherever my pack was going to go at that point, because that 80 pounds had me, because I was done.
Yeah, right.
I was done.
Yeah.
And holy cow.
Crash.
And we crash landed. It was epic, right? It was super neat.
Yeah. But I remember seeing that footage thinking, holy cow, what are we doing to guys?
You should see his face in the video that my wife took, because he's just like, he just stands there and looks down for a second, and then I can't remember who. I don't remember. I knew you were there, and there was someone else there that just like totally helped me out, because I couldn't even get. Now I'm like that kid in the Christmas Story. I can't even get it out.
Yeah,
I can't even unbuckle. I mean, I'm done.
You're turtled.
Yeah, totally turtled.
Anybody who's ever packed up a big pack and fell down, you're turtled.
Yeah, that's it. And so, and then even then, I remember walking up to Ryan even after the second day. When I put myself out there so hard on that meat pack that I was sick. Yeah. I couldn't eat. Didn't eat dinner, not very much. Didn't eat much for breakfast. Yeah. I mean, I hit a calorie deficit or something. I mean, we could really talk about maybe what really happened to my body. I don't know.
Sure.
I think that's what it was. Just put my body in so much shock.
Yeah.
That then the next day, then we waited, and we were the last heat, and it was getting warmer in the day, and I was trying to eat, and I couldn't eat, and I was drinking, and I mean, at least I was getting down beverage. But then when we took off in that challenge, we didn't even get to the first station, and I fell over the cooler twice.
Oh, wow.
And that's when I realized I'm
going to have to slow down.
I shouldn't even be here right now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even relevant to the situation.
Right.
And then get about halfway through it, and you guys are gone. I mean, I didn't see you and Tim. You guys were gone. And then Bruce Wilder came out. I was halfway through. He came out, and he grabbed a sandbag. He's like, just let's go. Yeah. Just focus. Quit counting. Just let's go. Just follow me. I'll count for you. Because, I mean, I was not good.
At that point,
And when we were running into the finish line, I was blacking out. I mean, I remember one time just looking, all I could see, the Train to Hunt arch was getting way out there, man. Whoa. And when we got done, but after the words and everything, I couldn't even believe it. Yeah. I went there to finish, not be last, made the podium, could not believe it.
Yeah.
And that's when I really figured out a lot of things about myself.
Sure.
And it was.
What were the couple of those things that you kind of like, you know what? This is something I didn't really know about myself.
I didn't realize that I had the grit.
Yeah.
That I had really put in the foundation, I was getting up early and doing my thing every day, and I sacrificed, and my family sacrificed, and my wife sacrificed, and and I just really realized how much this meant to me. But I hadn't given myself the credit.
Yeah.
And I'm just not one to step in and stroke myself, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like but when I finished that and it was all said and done, I remember just kind of sitting in the car with that medal and just thinking, wow, man.
A little pride there.
Good job, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I was actually proud of myself.
Yeah.
And there's some defining moments in my life where I'm proud of myself, but there's equally some moments in my life where it was not good.
Yeah.
But that was it. I was like, you know what? My gosh, I can do this.
Yeah.
Like, this feels empowering. This feels like I can do this. I can go hunt. I can chase some elk. Like, I feel better as a father and a husband and a man. And then, and even then it's like I got people that now in the gym, they're looking at me and they're talking to me and they're looking up to me and all this stuff. And I'm like, holy cow, like, this is really resonating.
Yeah.
Like, I there was points in my life where I felt like a leader.
Yeah.
And after I did that, I was
one.
Yeah, I was pretty proud, man.
Yeah.
And then I was even more proud after it was all said and done. I went up to Ryan. I was like, dude, like, how do you do this, man? Like, how did you do that? So, I do a little CrossFit. Same thing, man. Quiet giant right here, right?
Yeah, right.
Like, he doesn't
right.
throw it out there on anybody, man. And he told me he was proud of me and good job and all that. And I left, and then I didn't put it all together. It was a while, huh?
Before you realize, this is one of the
guys. I'm like, oh my God,
that's Ryan Clairmont.
Now it all makes sense.
Yeah. It's, a couple to your point, a couple things that come to mind. And one is that fitness is there's so many benefits to fitness and healthy lifestyle, and even doing a competition like that. because, like you said, one of the things that fitness will do is it teaches you discipline. And nothing in the world feels better or tastes better than discipline. If you really, lack confidence, maybe a little bit of self-confidence, and I'd venture to say most people, if not all people, have areas in which they lack a little confidence.
Absolutely.
But if you actually stay disciplined, overcome some fears, break down some walls, some limitations, going into the competition, like you said, you were a little bit intimidated and a little bit fearful, and like you decided, you know what, doesn't matter, I'm going to go. I'm going to set a realistic goal. I'm going to get after it. Once you accomplish something like that, and you face the fear and you break down that wall, you got confidence. And it's perfect that you mentioned that. I mean, not just confidence in, man, I can really shoot, or man, I really have, some more grit than I thought. But all areas of your life open up, and you're like, if I can do this, imagine what I could do with my home life, with my family life, with my work life, with all these areas. And I think people miss out on that just in general with being disciplined in a fitness program. You know, because you have to be disciplined. You have to be consistent. We're playing the long game here. And if you can just be consistent, you're not going to change the world. You're not going to eat the elephant in one bite. But if you can be consistent and disciplined to take a bite every single day, it's going to do nothing but benefit you, benefit your confidence. So that's awesome.
And listening to that story brings two things to my mind. Is number one, people need to test their fitness more often than they do. Because everybody can get kind of stuck in a rut. It doesn't matter if you do CrossFit 5 days a week, if you work out at home 5 days a week. It doesn't matter what you're doing. But if you don't go out and test it in whatever environment you want to test it in, I don't care if you're doing a 5K, you're doing a Spartan race, a Tough Mudder, train to hunt, whatever you're going to do, you have to test your fitness and see where you're at, and then see where your weaknesses are and see what you need to work on. Because you could be the fittest guy in your gym, but that doesn't matter. Go out and actually test yourself against other people in a venue that's going to give you feedback on yourself and your programming.
Yeah.
And then number two, listening to that story too, and how you overcome those obstacles and that fear, and you gain that confidence is, I look at it as you just set a new ceiling for yourself.
Yeah.
Because everybody has a ceiling that they think that's about as much as I could do. And after that first train to hunt, that ceiling's gone. Yeah. And now everybody has a ceiling. You have a new ceiling. And so now you need to figure out, how am I going to break down that next ceiling?
And I'm on it. So I've already written that mission statement, right?
Yep.
That's to make podium in my own state.
There you go.
Colorado.
Yep.
And I don't know. I've given some thought here lately. I don't know if train to hunt is going to be my forever thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's some guys that it is their world. I mean,
the train hunt challenge.
Yeah. Yep. And I just, but I certainly have a vision of trying to get to the podium in my own state. And and I made nationals making the podium, and I had full intentions of making it to nationals. And to see again where I sat in the national part of it. Right?
On the national stage.
Tucson was a little bit of a cheater for me, right? I mean, I live at 8,000 feet, but I can tell you that the heat offset my advantage altitude-wise. I can tell you that.
And that had a lot to do with the way you felt, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm sure that it did. Your electrolytes were probably drained. You probably weren't as hydrated as you needed to be. The heat's beating down on you. And then it's probably been a while since you really exerted yourself in that environment, and you push yourself over a limit. And once you get over a limit, it's tough to recover from. Like you found out, you just can't get enough water, you can't get enough nutrition in your body. And you know what? To your credit, a lot of people will shut her down. They'll just be like, they get scared, and they're like, you know what? I'm just going to shut her down right here. I'm scared. I don't like how I feel. And
I still had the vision. I had to finish.
Yeah.
I didn't care if y'all had to wait at the finish line for 2 hours, man. And I was crawling my ass to the end. I was going to finish.
Yeah.
But credit to Bruce, man. I mean, his
great guy.
His spirit and his whole his
energy.
Yeah, it was killer.
That's so cool.
And that's the whole energy of Train to Hunt for me. I mean, so I didn't make nationals, right? My hip deteriorated quickly after that. I mean, I didn't realize that I even had a real hip problem until I got lean enough and fit enough to start doing things.
Right.
Then my hip was like, oh,
Yeah.
well, yeah, you have a problem here.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's unfortunate, I think, that as long as I was just sitting in a truck seat and I was just kind of doing my normal thing, my hip was fine and it's complacency and whatever. But then when I started carrying weight and stretching my legs out and climbing and going downhill quick and running and doing all these other things, then it was like, we can't work together in this way anymore.
Right.
Right. And so then, so last year I just, talked some friends into going.
Yeah.
And went to Colorado, and then they did well, and I got my kids there.
Yeah,
right.
They're dynamite kids, man.
And that was epic. And then going back for nationals and really seeing like some of the competition in my level, it was like, wow.
Yeah.
I do have a long way to go to compete on the national level for sure.
And it's tough it's tough because it's only going to get harder.
Yeah.
In order to, as the word spreads and we grow and more people start doing the competition, we're going to start attracting more and more people. And I fully suspect that at some point we're going to have people coming out of the woodwork every year that be like, we don't know who this guy is, but holy smokes.
Well, you're starting to get professional people into the gig, right?
Yeah.
I mean, professional adventure racers and professional stuff. They're seeing a niche to go have some fun and to fill in a void somewhere a sponsor, and they can jump in. And,
that's right. And that's a fun. I mean, that part is a fun part for a lot of guys. Like they really love to compete and they like to get out there and just kind of put themselves up against the best in the world or the best in the nation. Mm-hmm. But I mean, 90% of the people are out there are doing what I designed the event to be. And that is nothing more than what Ryan mentioned earlier, is an opportunity to actually have a measuring stick on how is my training going right now.
Right.
Because I think we do a pretty decent job of testing your field fitness.
Exactly.
How well do you shoot in all situations? Kneeling, sitting, holding your bow back, and then having to shoot, drawing, kneeling, stand, shoot. All
quick shots.
Two quick shots. And then we put you under some stress, some physical stress, and then have you shoot. And then, in that year, we had the meat pack. The meat pack isn't in the qualifiers anymore, but you're still packing weight around. Mm-hmm. And you find out, at the end, I don't think I've ever had anybody say, man, my training's spot on right now. It's always, I need to spend more time in my pack, or I need to do longer bouts of training, or I need to learn, man, I didn't realize how I've never tried to draw my bow back and hold it for 30 seconds before I shoot. Right. Or there's always something, which is really the whole point of the event.
Yep, that's right.
Is that, okay, it's May, it's June, it's July. I've been training. Let's go get this measuring stick. It's a great venue, like you mentioned, really supportive.
Awesome.
We're going to go out there, and at the end, I'm going to be like, take some notes. Need to do this, X, Y, and Z. This is good. Go back to the drawing board. You kind of work on your weaknesses a little bit, and then you hit the mountains.
I got
and
5-6 weeks to hone what I learned, and my tag opens, and let's put it all together.
Yep. And then there's just so many byproducts of the event.
Right.
And the people you get to meet, the people that you become lifelong friends with, that you just otherwise wouldn't have met. And in fact, I joke about the fact that I started this event because it's really hard to find hard-charging, backcountry guys that are, stay in shape year-round. They test themselves. They like the Crucible event. They like to, just really push themselves, and they're just a glutton for punishment. So I start this event, and now I realize, man, I'm not alone out there. There's a whole group of us. Mm-hmm. And by the way, you're all invited to go hunt with me because I'll take every single one of you because you all have the same attitude, and that is just a whatever it takes, we're going to get it done attitude.
That's right.
And in it, we're going to support each other. And it's just been a real pleasure just seeing and meeting people and seeing the friendships develop, and it makes it all worth it.
Well, and then adding the kid portion of this to the gig, dude. That, I hung out during the kid thing with you, because I wasn't competing in Colorado, right? And so, and watching these guys and listening to these boys and girls cheer each other on.
Yeah.
I mean,
Next level.
it was killer.
It was awesome. And in fact, I don't know if you guys heard, but we're having a standalone kid-only event this year.
Right.
Just kids in Oregon in August. The whole event is going to be kids.
No, I didn't hear that.
Yeah,
That's
it's all kids.
Awesome.
Yep, it's August 11th or 14th. I'll have to check it for sure. But we're going to be obviously marketing it. But we just finalized the date and the location, and it's going to be all kids. The whole event's going to be around
Just
kids.
kids.
Yep.
Oh, my gosh.
And we're going to be putting them through very similar to what the adults. I think the kids are pretty pliable. They're pretty durable. And they're tough.
Yeah.
So it's going to be similar, but obviously to a kid scaled down version.
Right.
And man, I'm really looking forward to that because that's our future, right?
Right.
That's our future. And there's just so many obvious reasons to get kids involved in the outdoors and in physical activity.
Just the physical side of things. Just getting them to disconnect from whatever device they're stuck to and get out into natural lighting.
Yeah, right.
Just let them get some real vitamin D going, and then push them to do some things. And I'm really fortunate that through this, my kids have seen my hard work. They've seen what's happened for me, and so I think it's gained some traction in my family.
It's contagious.
It's contagious. That's the right word for sure.
Yeah, it's contagious.
And I just can't thank you guys enough for even making that happen. I mean, I think my wife can attest for the fact that I was in a point where it was time to write a new chapter. It was time for me to find some things out for me. Call it a midlife crisis, call it whatever you want. Right. I don't care, but it's the healthiest midlife crisis I know of.
Attaboy.
Right? And, I mean.
Better than buying a Corvette and moving.
No, there's still a Corvette on my list. Just so you know. But I did quit going triple digits on my Harley because I'm at the point where I want to make it to the gym.
Might as well.
And I want to make it home too. I want to make it to my wife at the end of the day. But I mean, I've found thrills now in having, like me and Aiden, we went up glassing and I was like, okay, we're late.
Yeah,
we got a half an hour to bust this 2 miles down the mountain, man, and we got to get it. We're not on a trail, we're not whatever. And I looked at him and said, "You game?" And he's like, "I'm leading." And I'll tell you what, man, I was trying to videotape him running while we're doing all this stuff, and I was just I almost killed myself.
I believe it.
But I need one of those cool gyro things, because I was trying to watch the camera. But we made it down the hill, and it was just like I got to the bottom, and I was like exhilarated, man. I was like, that was intense. That was cool. And then we got a good workout. We pushed ourselves. I got, my triple-digit fix, if you will, going down a mountain instead of twisting the throttle. And, when I got in, I get in the truck, and I'm like, high five, son.
Yeah.
Man, we're back on time.
That's so cool.
That's
awesome.
It's cool stuff. So thanks, you guys.
Yeah.
I just, from me to you, publicly, I finally get to do it. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
it's our pleasure.
It's just a great byproduct of the whole thing, really.
Yeah.
Changing lives, changing families, and now, I mean, you're setting such a great example for your kids. Your kids look at you and they know that Dad works out, Dad enjoys being outside, and he enjoys doing these archery events, and they're going to follow in Dad's footsteps, man. And what a great example to set for your kid.
Yeah, I can think of some other things I was doing that wasn't so good.
Right.
We all have those stories, man.
Oh, for sure.
Well, I tell you, and I wouldn't be standing here. I wouldn't be standing here in the WA booth talking to you guys, doing this podcast. I mean, from the time I met Chris at the Pope and Young convention, I could have never written the script.
Yeah.
I could have never written it.
Yeah.
And it's just it's a journey of. It's an amazing journey.
Yeah, there's a lot of God in Train to Hunt and the Train to Hunt Challenge. There's a lot of God. He's got his hand in a lot of stuff.
I agree.
And he's bringing people together and he's changing lives. And I'm, a lot of times I kind of feel like a passenger in the whole thing too. And I mean, I give credit to him. He's just kind of been guiding me and kind of using me to work to other people, and it's just been a thrill for me.
Amen to that. I mean, that's the cool thing, right? In Train Hunt, we start with a prayer. Every day we're asking for that, for him to be with us and protect us and keep us safe and bring us to our highest potential.
That's right.
Hopefully.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Lord knows we need all his help we can get. Man.
That's right. Well, it's great because we mentioned the family thing, because when one of the things written into the mission statement of Train to Hunt is to bring families back together. And families, because I owned a gym at the time, a CrossFit gym, and a lot of people wanted to come, but they had small kids. And the gym scene, I've been in the gym scene for so long, and I went to the box gyms, and then I owned a CrossFit gym and had that, and I really just started thinking a lot more about how we can get families working out together, like mom, dad, and kids, all doing the same workout. And a lot of people are kind of sick of the gym scene. They're sick of the going in and hearing the music and treadmills, and got to put the kids in daycare. And there was a lot of interest in being able to do something right at home. And so part of the mission statement was, hey, let's do something where everybody can get together and work out. And it's happening. Like, there's a lot of kids. You know who Jesse Wise is, right? Mm-hmm. Jesse Wise, I think he's got 5 kids, and he can't get a workout in without one of his kids joining him. Yeah. And it's just the way it is, because you're able to work out at home. It's very minimal workout, and you get to shoot your bow during the workout. I mean, you just get better than that.
Oh man, it's therapy. You're throwing right into a good workout session, right?
Yep. So you got mom, dad, kids, or dad and sons, or whatever. All mixes in. They're going out. They're shooting their bow. They're sweating together, and they're shooting together. And I mean, that's what the world needs more of, right? Like families that play together stay together. That's all there is to it. And
it's proven.
And if you can give somebody an easy excuse to work out, and everybody loves to shoot their bow. I don't know anybody who's not an archer. You don't have to be a hunter. Just shooter. If you love to shoot your bow, then hey, I got a training program for you, man.
Yeah, I mean, even look at AccuBow. Right? Yeah. Look at that kid.
Right.
What a thought.
Right.
I want to know where he was laying, or what tree he was under, or I really want to know where that vision came from, because that's epic.
It is.
You know.
Yeah. That's one of those. You know, it's a good product when it comes out and you go, of course.
Yeah.
Duh.
Duh.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Of course.
Now back on train hunt.
Yeah.
Where were you? Was there many self-reflections on this situation, or can you recall where you were the moment when this was like the light bulb went off and it was time to go?
So it wasn't really a light bulb moment as far as like the idea of training hunters specifically. I had been I trained all kinds of people, from soccer players, wakeboarders, volleyball players, baseball players. I was a wrestling coach, a football coach. I trained everybody, and it was great. I really enjoyed the sport-specific training. And then every September I would go and elk hunt, and I would be training different in like June, July, August than I was training before, because I knew I had elk hunting coming up. And I think it probably got solidified when my brother and my dad and I went on our very first sheep hunt.
Yeah.
And I'm training, Ryan's training, we're getting our dad. He was 58 at the time, and he was training hard. He was going to the gym, and he was doing some step classes, and he was doing some spin classes and lifting some weights, and we hit the mountains. And we all suffered a little bit, but my dad really did. And even though he did train about as hard as I've ever seen him train,
he did his best to build his foundation.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, he was doing everything that he could to get ready for the mountains. And it was really there that I decided, you know what? This is a sport. Sport being defined as something that has a specific modalities that you have to be efficient in, and it has a specific field of play. Okay, right. A soccer field has a specific field of play, a hockey rink, a basketball court, and you train people around their specific field of play. Now, hunting has variety of field of play, but you can adjust your training for that, right? Mm-hmm. And I thought, there's probably nobody out there that's training hunters specifically to get ready for hunts. And so I got on the internet, and I was like, training for hunting, workouts for hunters, and it was
how many ways could you type it?
And it was coming up nothing. The only thing I was getting was dog trainers. Anything like training for hunting was all people who were
training their dogs
to get ready. Mm-hmm. And this, that's when the light bulb moment came up, and I was like, we're going to start doing this. And then we started the website, Train to Hunt, and we were putting out daily workouts. We were charging like $30 a year to access those daily workouts that were
cheap.
That were specific.
Cheap.
Yeah, and I think the first 20 days we had like 120 subscribers just instantly, and I was like, we're on to something here, right? And this was February. And then, like, it grew and grew and grew, and then about November, everybody dropped their membership. Boom. And I was like, really? Oh, yeah, of course. People don't train year-round. They're just training for hunting season. Once hunting season comes around, they're done until June.
Yeah.
And we lost probably half our membership in November. And because I waited through September because I figured that everybody's going to be out there hunting or whatever. And in November, I started looking, and we were getting half the hits.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yep, just
right on
boom,
down.
boom, 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 boom. And I was like, and then I can remember the light bulb moment for the Train to Hunt Challenge. This was bothering me, that people, how can I get people to think about training year round? And it was bothering me because other than just telling people the importance of training year round and how easy it is to stay in shape versus getting back in shape.
Well, I'm a testament to that every year. So during our archery season,
Yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm on the mountain.
Yep.
I'm hiking. I mean, I'm getting plenty of hiking in, and so
Yep.
my core and
Yep.
my lower body's doing good. But
Yep.
then I get back in the gym come, the first October, and it's like I just lost like 40 pounds of bench press weight.
Yep.
Just like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But the thing to keep in mind in that respect is, you get back in the gym and you've lost some things. You've maybe lost some strength, maybe lost some speed, some power or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But, boy, you're efficient in what you want to be efficient in.
That's true.
It's just that once you
Yep.
get out of hunting season, you kind of switch back into gym fitness.
Mm-hmm.
And, I've lost a lot of strength or a lot of size or whatever. And it's a good idea to build that stuff back up. But when it comes right down to it, if you're training for a Train to Hunt Challenge or training for hunting season, you're doing all right,
Yeah, I'm doing okay, yeah.
Anyway, so
Sorry, didn't mean to
that's all
interrupt.
right. Back to the story. So I hardly ever go to 3D shoots. Like, I'll go to a 3D shoot maybe once a year. Well, while this is bothering me about how I can get people to sign on to training year round, the only idea I really had was, like all trainers will tell you, is sign up for an event, throughout like 2 or 3 events throughout the year. So then you have some motivation to be, to get in shape for that event. But the only events out there were like 5Ks, and there was a few obstacle races back then. I think the Tough Mudder, we're talking about 2010.
Right.
There's a few obstacle races out there. Spartan was just kind of starting to make some noise, but most of it was sprint triathlons and then these road races.
Right.
Well, I went to this. I went to a 3D shoot, and anybody that's been to a big 3D shoot knows you just kind of wait in line and let people shoot, and then
It's really not that much fun.
it takes you 4 hours to get through 20 targets, right?
Yeah, right.
And this light bulb went off in my head, like, what would be interesting is to just line people up at the beginning of this 3D course and just ready, go. How fast can you get through this thing? And then reward them from shooting well, not just getting through it as fast as they can and flinging arrows, but getting through it fast and being accurate. Mm-hmm. And so my first thought was, how can we do that? How can we just make a 3D course that you run through? And then, oh, no, you can't do that because you can't someone's not going to have 20 arrows. I mean, they can't shoot and have to retrieve their arrow. They have to shoot and go, and somebody else has to retrieve their arrows. Well, so the whole 3D course is going to be 6 targets. And then it just grew from there.
Right.
And I was like, this is perfect. And then this monster, I lost a lot of sleep trying to figure out how to do this exactly.
Right.
And
spent a lot of time on the phone with me.
And
Yeah, I was going to ask you, so where are you in the back of this? Are you thinking, great idea, or is there something about this you're thinking, not so sure?
Both.
Yeah?
Both. I mean, the very first one, and he'll probably get into it, was in Boise, and it was just a run and shoot.
Yep.
It was 6 targets, run and shoot, and we awarded the person who got through it the fastest. And that was the very first one. And then from there, it started morphing, and it's morphed since then. Every year has gotten a little bit different.
Well, that's hashtag Puppet Master.
Yeah.
Is right?
So,
right.
Yeah, we
Right.
the first, I would say, 2 years,
yeah.
I wasn't that involved. We would talk on the phone, and he would run ideas by me, and I would say, yeah, that sounds great, or what, and we would just hash it out. But it's been since I moved down to lower 48 from Alaska, and we're able to meet up more often, that I've gotten a lot more involved in it. And it's really in the last probably 3 years, I would say.
Yeah.
I've gotten a lot more involved in it, and I just consider myself his sounding board.
Right.
He's an idea guy. He's got 100 ideas, and he always bounces them off me, and I kind of we talk about it, and then that's kind of the way that all these changes come in to Train to Hunt, is we sit down and hash them all out.
Because because I'm on an island out there.
Well, but now you're at a point though where this machine is kind of doing its thing,
Yeah,
right? Like you
yeah.
said, now you were this creator, and now it's come to life. It's almost living and breathing by itself, right?
Yep.
And now you're kind of along for the ride.
That's right.
A little bit. But the cool thing is that you're leaving, your eyes are open, your ears are open, you're
Always.
listening to the competitors, you're listening to some different things, and you're always willing to take some feedback on the event or the formats or anything. And I've seen that in the last couple years, how train and hunt has morphed a little bit from what I've heard people say,
For sure.
and what you've listened to.
Yep.
And I think that's awesome, because a lot of people are like, nope, this is it, deal with it,
this is my idea,
whatever, and you either love it or hate it, get out.
Yep.
Right?
Love it or hate it, I don't care. This is what we're doing.
But I guess the only staple to the deal is that we're doing this with bows.
Yep.
We're doing it with some weight.
Yep.
And you're going to love your box.
Yep.
And you're going to love your bag.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
I put a post up not that long ago that got this new box, got me a new bag, and we're going to have a lot of threesomes.
That's all right.
A lot of threesomes are going to happen right here.
Absolutely.
And I it's like I want to start painting stuff on the box, like, you're my friend.
Yeah.
Little subliminal things just to keep me thinking
That's right.
positively.
That's right. Something to think about other than, man, this is rough, or I'm tired.
I hate you.
That's right.
You know what's funny is I almost didn't get my hip surgery because of a box, because I did this 12 list of Christmas with my son.
Yep.
And I scratched the front of my shin off.
Yep.
Trying to do as many box jumps as I could do in a minute.
Yeah.
And when I got there, they literally pulled out a tape measure and went down. They were like, "You're a half inch out of the danger zone. Otherwise, we wouldn't have done your surgery." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I'm glad that worked out. Because, well, to your point, though, I think the thing that's morphed the biggest is the meat pack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the first 2 years, we didn't even have a meat pack. But, boy, everybody was just craving it. Like, isn't the biggest part, like one of the most physical part of a hunt, actually after you get the game on the ground and getting it out? Like, isn't that? And I was like, absolutely. But I just couldn't wrap my mind around where to begin with a meat pack. Like, if I want to make it realistic, I've got to have it like at least – I felt like I needed to have it at least a couple miles. And how heavy do I go? And my initial thought was, okay, we're going to do this as realistic as we can. We're going to go a mile, but you have to move 200 pounds of weight. So I kind of divided it up, and we're talking about the open min, by the way.
Right.
200 pounds of weight, you got to move from the kill site to the truck. And my thought was most guys would take 100 pounds, and they move it to the truck, and they come back, get the other 100 pounds, and move it to the truck. Well, the very first, one of my biggest mistakes I ever made was there was a huge football player that comes up to me and says, "Can I take all the 200 pounds if I want?" And I was just like, man, if you think you're a big enough boy, you go ahead and try it.
Man up, bro.
And then it just kind of set the bar. And everybody was moving 200 pounds in one load, or else they felt like they couldn't compete. And so we went through that whole season running 200 pounds for the open men. And it was tough to watch, because people most people, if not all people, had no business putting 200 pounds in their pack.
No.
And so I took it upon myself. I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to protect these guys from themselves, because because they're competitors. As much as you don't want this to be a competitive environment, they know they're competing against the guy next to them. They just can't help but want to beat them.
Yep.
So then I lessened it a little bit. And then I was talking to guys who, for all other reasons, would have done the challenge. But they were like, I don't want to go out and get hurt right before hunting season. But these guys were my friends. And I was like, how come you're not coming out and doing the challenge, man? You'd be great for it. And he's like, it's the meat pack. I don't want to go out there and get hurt. 200 pounds is too much. 150 pounds is too much.
I got 5K in a hunt coming up. I got this and this and this and that. And then they would pull out. Yeah, and that's also why Nationals got moved up more, right?
That's
because
right.
People were bailing for Alaska. People were out, man. They weren't sticking around for that.
In fact, I'll come back to this part. But we had a returning national champ that he came to me, and it was on the weekend of Nationals. He was going to come back and kind of defend his national title, Phil Mendoza. And he comes to me and says, dude, I drew a sheep tag, and I'm really torn because the opening weekend is that same weekend. And I looked at him straight in the eye, and I said, are you crazy?
Are you kidding me?
I said, the whole reason that we do this is so that you can go do what you're contemplating whether you should do or not. I'm like, get out of here and go hunt. And I know that there might have been just a little bit of him that wanted to do but it's set the precedence. And anybody out there that's ever talked to me about juggling, well, should I do the train hunt challenge or should I go on a hunt?
Right.
They know that I'm always going to tell them, go on a hunt, man. That's what we're doing it for.
That's how this all started.
That's right.
Right.
That's
its whole purpose.
Yeah.
Its sole purpose is for you to be able to be ready for hunting, and believe me, buddy, you're ready because you've been training for the national championships. You're the fittest guy that I've ever seen do this competition. You drew a once-in-a-lifetime tag. Go get it done.
Yeah. You almost want to slap him silly.
Well,
right?
Yeah, I don't know. Phil's a pretty tough dude.
Well,
I'd probably
yeah.
slap and run.
Luckily for me and Phil are good friends.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I wouldn't say
Yeah, he's a great dude. So anyway, back to the meat pack thing. It actually got to the point where there was so much, and to your point of listening to people, this company, this event wouldn't exist if it wasn't for other hunters. And so I listen to people. I kind of have a method in my madness.
Mm-hmm.
If I hear the same thing, if I hear the same thing 3 times in 30 days, I consider it. Because as you can imagine, I get a lot of advice.
Yeah. Right.
Have you ever considered this? Have you ever considered that? And if I hear the same thing 3 times, if someone stops me and says, bro, the meat pack's too heavy. If 3 people do that in 30 days, I know it's time to change the meat pack.
Right.
And so I did. And now the meat pack doesn't even exist in the qualifiers, and I think it's a good thing. We still do. You still have to compete with some weight in your back, but it's not 200 pounds. Like the heaviest thing we do is 50.
I love the 50-pounder because typically on a good 5-day, 7-day hunt,
yeah,
I'm sitting on 50 pounds.
Sure, you are.
I'm chasing elk with 50 pounds.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm not leaving my pack back there.
No.
I take it with me.
Right.
Until I close down to the 100-yard mark.
That's right.
And so that's, I think, is as real as it
Agreed.
for me.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But I was telling some of those guys in Colorado in the parking lot last year to be careful what they were saying because you were kind of cruising through and getting a gauge on a few things.
Yeah.
And luckily we were able to talk about that because I wasn't competing. And I was like, I just kind of sat there and some of them were like, well, what were you guys talking about? I'm like, no, nothing. No, nothing. And they're like, well, what, were you guys talking about nationals? I said, oh, no, not really.
Yeah,
and they're like, what's he going to change? I'm like, I don't know.
He
didn't say anything to me about nationals. But we had a great conversation.
Yeah, we did.
And I thought it was awesome. I'm like, dude, that's a great idea.
That's the most fun time of year for me because there is so much unknown. Let's just be straight. When you go on a hunt, you can plan all you want. You can bring the gear. You can prepare all you want. But when you get out there, there's always going to be 20, 30% of the stuff that's unknown.
Look, you're dealing with Mother Nature. You're dealing with the wilderness.
Yep.
You're dealing with stuff that you have you have no control, and ruthless Mother Nature can be, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And for me to just spring something on you is just a taste of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I love it. I love the competitors. They get a butterfly. Boy, what's he going to throw at us this year? And then I announce it, and you see half the people go, oh, that's not bad. And some of them go, oh my gosh, And I think it's a good trait or a good practice to be able to have things sprung on you and just be able to go in stride.
Hey, hunting's all about adaptability and preparation.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right? Prepare for that unknown.
That's right. Adapt or die, baby.
That's right. You got to adapt and survive. I mean, that's a military gig. I mean, it's life. If you even just take a close examination of your life, how many times a day or a week or a month or a year do you have to adapt in order to survive?
Right. Yeah.
We do it all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's subconsciously. We don't realize it,
Yep.
but you're doing – look, everything you look at, everything you smell, everything, even right now, you can look across the room and you're going to adapt. You're adapting on how you're going to make it to the men's room when you got to pee.
Right.
You're adapting to get to,
Right.
It's every day.
Yeah.
So it just seems like some people forget that you do it all the time.
Yeah. It's fun, man. I really like the national stage. I really do.
Yeah, that was a good grid.
It
like,
is.
Do you see that? It's there's a little evil
Well,
thing
it's because
there.
I'm thinking about this year. I'm just like, this year's going to be fun.
See, now we can't talk about it.
We can't.
No,
We're
can't talk to me
next
about
topic.
it. So, what does train to hunt mean to you at this point in the game? I mean, what's the when you look at this community that you've built and you see these people and all these things you've heard? I mean, deep down in your soul and your heart, what does it mean to you now?
Oh, it's my baby, man. It's honestly probably just the repeating thought in my head is, how can I touch more lives? How can I introduce my existing community to more people? Because I just feel like until you come in and experience it, you don't really know what you're missing out on. And
right.
so that's kind of the audio that's on repeat in my head is, how can I reach more people? How can I get more people? How can I break down that intimidation barrier to get more people to take that chance and come in and introduce them to the Train to Hunt Challenge and that community and that kind of thing. That's my repeating thought. And as far as like what the business means to me, I get emotional every year at Nationals for a reason. It's because of all the hard work that goes into it, all the sacrifice my wife makes, my kids make, everybody around me makes, and at Nationals, and I see the smiles. And this happens at qualifiers. I see the smiles. I see the friendships. I see what's happening, and it is exactly what I wanted to happen. And it just feels so rare that it really chokes me up, because I'm just like, man, look at what's happening. And again, like I take some credit for that, but
Absolutely.
a lot of it, I'm just like I said, I really feel like God's hands in it, and just keeps me motivated. Believe me, 100% transparency, there's been at least 3 times along the way where my wife and I have had very real conversations about forgetting the whole thing.
Yeah.
Is this worth it?
Right.
Is this worth it? Like all the time and all the effort.
And what's the deciding factor in those conversations? I mean, I like getting real deep.
Yeah.
I know it because it's we're all dealing with stuff with our spouses and our children, and it's the real daily life, right? I mean, we can stand here on a camera and have these, and we can talk, and we can do all these things, but when it boils down to it, I mean, there's real life behind the scenes.
There is. Well, behind the scenes is tough because, well, for 3 years before I went full-time, which was just last November, for 3 or 4 years there, I never made it to bed before 1 o'clock in the morning. I had a full-time job as a cowboy on a ranch, and I'd get off about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'd spend about, 3 hours with my family. My wife and kids would go to bed about 8 o'clock.
You check out.
And I'd go to the office, and I'd start banging away on whatever needed to be done with Train to Hunt, whether it be solidifying a site or talking with the sponsors or whatever it might be. And so, I didn't go to bed at the same time as my wife for almost 4 years.
That's hard, man.
And it really started wearing on me. Like, is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? Like, my family is important to me. Having a relationship with my wife and my kids and being a good father and a good husband, at times felt like it was taking a back seat to Train to Hunt because, man, I wore all the hats. I answer all the emails. I do all the customer service. I did all the shipping. I did all the website stuff. I did all the organizing. I did all the sponsorship communication. I did. If you were communicating with Train to Hunt, you were communicating with me.
Right.
And I just felt like it's at some points that my family took a back seat for so long that's where those conversations came up, and I'd sit my wife down and I'd say, "How are we doing?" She's like, "We're doing good. How's things going at Train to Hunt?" And they're going good, and we'd go through a whole year and we'd have some growth, and but then we'd really talk about, is it worth it? And the way those conversations always ended was my wife looking at me and saying, "This is what you're meant to do. This is who you are." And
that's I often describe my wife as the hub of the wheel. Like, I have 9 kids, business that we own, all this stuff, and I'll tell you what, man, that's the truth in my household. She's the hub. She makes the wheel go round. Yeah. And she's the, people say she's the rock, she's the better half. Whatever, description and analogy you want to use, right? But behind every great man
is an
or
amazing
successful
woman.
Man is a great woman, right?
For sure. I can tell you, if anybody out there is like, man, I just would love to stand next to me and say, man, thank you so much for doing this, thank my wife. Right. Because it had been 4 years ago, all she would have had to say was, it's too hard on us, and I'd have quit. It had been done. I'd have shut down. I'd wrote one last blog and said, thanks for everything, but I got a family that needs me, and I'd been done. But instead, she looked at me and said, this is what you're meant to do. We'll be okay.
We'll figure it out.
And it's still to this day, it's tough to talk about because it was such a deciding moment, and she very well could have pulled the plug, and she didn't. And so here we are. and she, my wife is definitely the anchor in our family, and she keeps things moving forward. And when I'm running around like a chicken with his head cut off, I got my brother to call and say, buddy, I don't know what's going on here. Like, I'm on an island. I feel like I don't feel
SOS.
I don't feel like anybody in the world is listening to me. I need some help. And I got my wife who is my rock. And when things get tough and I feel a little overwhelmed with all the stuff that needs to be done, and she reminds me that it's bigger than me. That it's not, and that we're going to be okay. That we're going to be okay. Keep going. We're going to turn that corner anytime, and you're gonna be where you want to be. And really, where I want to be is I want to be in a point where Train to Hunt's a household name. They're using it for their training to get ready for hunts. They're coming out and enjoying the Train to Hunt challenge, and the world sees hunting and sees Train to Hunt and says, you know what? Those are some good people. Hunters are good people.
And it's legit.
They're solid people. They have great lifestyles. They care about people. They care about the planet. They care about the environment. They care about animals. And you'd be lucky to have one as a friend. That's what I want. That's how I want the world to see hunters. And I believe that Train to Hunt is the vehicle to get us there. I mean, obviously there's conservation and all kinds of stuff, but I feel like, and the kids thing is important to me because of that, because they're the next generation. They're going to be the mouthpiece for the next generation, talking about the importance of lifestyle and food choices and being responsible for your own food and how that's okay, and how and the importance of the environment and animals and conservation and all that. And I know that Train to Hunt plays a piece of that, but I really take pride in that piece.
Yeah, well, you do. It's very evident. There's no doubt about it that you take pride in it. And, I mean, as witness myself, your brother, I'm sure, can attest to the same thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
talk me off the cliff a few times.
Yeah, right? Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ryan, for talking him off the cliff a few times.
That's
we
right.
need this man in this world, right?
That's right.
You need him. We all need him.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
What an amazing example of, embodying a spirit and figuring out a way to put it into something
palatable,
something that is making change in this world.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm standing evidence, so we all are. Everybody in this booth, right, is
right.
all always been behind you and always been a part of it.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, absolutely. And I couldn't do it without them. I couldn't do it without you guys. Honestly, like, it's just to your point. I'm a simple guy. And I'm easily entertained, but like I can get a ton of people like maybe a little disappointed in one thing or another, and maybe I dropped the ball here, and all it takes is one email of, hey man, you know what? I really appreciate what you're doing. Keep it up, and everything else goes away.
Right.
And I'm like, let's get after it.
No doubt, right?
So, yeah. So
Ryan, what's in the future? What's in the future here coming up?
For
we've
me?
talked. Well, yeah, or Train to Hunt. I mean, we've talked. I mean, we have nailed Train to Hunt, man. If you're listening to this and you haven't figured this out, you weren't listening. Rewind, do it again,
right?
Because that's good, deep.
Thanks.
We appreciate
Thanks,
you
man.
for being transparent. Thanks for being humble, and thanks for being seeing a vision and carrying it through. And thanks to your wife and your family, and for all that. And Ryan, thanks for your support to him. But
the future of Train to Hunt looks good, and I think where the business is going. In the future compared to where it is now, I think looks really good, and that flyer in front of you is a testament to it. We know that we have the Train to Hunt challenge, and it's not running itself yet, but it is pretty well established. There's still a lot of people who don't know about it, and so we still need to reach more people to get archers out to do this Train to Hunt challenge, and like Kenton said, and to meet the community. But we also want to start growing the training part of Train to Hunt. We want to reach more people, and reach outfitters is what we've kind of come up with, is getting outfitters to buy off on the training programs that we have developed to get their clients into shape. Because the number one thing that all outfitters will tell you with all their clients is the reason why we didn't get that sheep or get that moose or get that elk is because my client wasn't in shape. They showed up to camp not prepared.
Well, they had all the gear. They could buy all their gear.
Oh, yeah. They've got the best gear in the world.
But
they've read all the books.
Take the gear there.
They've read all the books and visited all the forums and asked all the right questions, but they just didn't take the time to get physically prepared.
Right.
And so, that's a hard sell, and it's been hard. But now I think maybe going around the hunter and to the outfitter, because they're buying that hunt from the outfitter, and if we can get the outfitters to say, hey, you need to go to this, you need to go to train to hunt and get this training program, and it's going to prepare you to show up at camp, and you'll be ready.
And they can do that because, I mean, how many times do you hear the hunters that say, well, I'm going to do this hunt, and they sent me a list of the gear I have to have.
Absolutely.
And if I don't have it, I don't go.
Yep.
Right? And it's the same thing. And even more importantly so, getting them in their training aspect is more important than the list of gear that they gave them. I mean, we all understand that gear is important. We all understand that being prepared for the elements and all that stuff is important. But you won't even get to the elevation where you're going to use your Yukon or any of your stuff because you couldn't even get there.
There's so few things that you can control on a hunt, right? And so the preparation phase of the hunt is what you can control. And one of the things you can control is your own physical preparedness.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's just amazing to me that people don't prepare properly. We just got done talking to an outfitter before coming over here. I told a story about a guy, they took moose hunting in the Yukon. He's an outfitter in the Yukon. And they walked 10 minutes from base camp, and he dropped his pack in the middle of the trail and said, I can't carry it anymore. 10 minutes. Into day one. What? 10 minutes. So his packer had to pick up the hunter's pack, carry it the rest of the hunt.
Yeah, I just kind of call BS on the deal, kind of too, somewhat, right? I mean, did he just play his aces right, so he didn't have to carry it? Maybe he could have carried it.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I mean, come on, people are deceitful.
Obviously, that's an extreme example, but
but that's crazy.
But it happens, right?
And you have a solution for that.
I do,
of course,
I do. And the hardest part for anybody is to admit that not that I'm wrong, but maybe I don't know how to do this.
I don't know.
Isn't
that the hardest?
Yeah, it is. Just be like, what? I don't know how to do this. Most hunters and most men, and I mean, I think that there's a certain amount of confidence level that you have to have in order to be a hunter, just in general, and be able to attack like these wild places. And with that level of maybe cockiness or ego or confidence comes, I'll be all right. Like I'll figure it out. Like how hard, how hard can it be? And we're not here to try and browbeat people. We're not trying to say if you don't prepare, you're stupid. What we're here to do is say we have a solution that will make your hunt so much more enjoyable than maybe it would otherwise be, because you won't be caught in camp on day 3 and no motivation to get up because you're just too beat up. You won't pay, $12,000 for a sheep hunt and not be able to get to a sheep because you're just physically exhausted. You're breathing through your eyeballs. Your legs can't move another step, and that's all we're trying to do. We're just trying to get you physically prepared. With physical preparation will come a little bit of grit, and your hunt's just going to be more enjoyable, and likely you'll increase your ability to be successful.
The percentage goes up dramatically.
That's right.
It does. We can't tell you how much it does, but I know it does.
It does. Right. Sure it does. Had Ryan and I not been as physically prepared as we were going into this last season's sheep hunt, it had been really easy to call it quits and just say, you know what, let's just, we're done. We've walked 100 miles in heavy packs. We haven't seen anything. Sit down and have our little pity party about how the world isn't fair and there's no animals in this drainage, and then come back and tell a story about how, we busted our butt, but man, there's no animals up there. It'd been real easy to do that,
right.
and probably nobody would have given us any grief at all about it. They'd been like, "Yep, you know what?" And that sucks.
It happens.
That's why they call it hunting. But because we were physically prepared to the degree we were, and our physical ability matched our will. And when you can do that, when your will and your physical ability are matched up, there's nothing you can't do.
That's like I come full circle to the very beginning, right?
That's right.
My mind had a
That's
plan, but this vessel was not aligned with my mind.
Right.
You know?
Because most of the time, your will is going to outdo your physical ability.
Oh, yeah, especially at 46. I still think I'm 18.
And we're, exactly, right? You hear that so much, man. You hear that so much. And the older you get, the harder you got to work.
Yep.
So,
And confidence has a lot to do with it too. Building that confidence to know that on the 10th day of a 12-day hunt, you spot sheep 5 miles away. The thought of not going after them doesn't even enter your mind. Yeah. It's like
we're going.
We've been busting it for 10 days, but we're going to go. We still have 2 days left.
Well, and that's when you're looking back, you're closing your eyes, and you're replaying the last 6 months of training and going,
that's right.
You know what? I'm going that 5 miles.
That's right.
I did that to be here, and even if I feel deflated right now, I got a fire inside me from remembering all that pain all that suckfest I went through to be in this moment right here.
Yep.
And I'm lighting the fire, and I'm going.
That's right. That's right.
And even as prepared as we were going into that hunt, when we were packing those sheep out, and it was 2:00 in the morning, and it was pouring down rain on us, and we each had a sheep in our packs and camp and gear. How many times did we say, man, I'm sure glad. Number one, I'm sure glad we prepared for this.
Yeah.
And number two, we both did, that rim to rim to rim, the Grand Canyon, which is 50 miles in a day.
Yeah.
How many times did we say, if we can do that,
we can do this.
We can do this.
Right.
All we got to do is walk 25 miles. It's half of that.
It's half of what we did.
So
let's go.
We're gonna. 25 miles is half of it. We did 50. We can do 25, and it's just 1 foot in front of the other.
That's right.
It's
you bring up the rim to rim to rim. That's on my radar, I think, next
year.
Yeah. So that was where I was at earlier, like with the whole train to hunt thing. Like maybe next year I'm not going to do train to hunt. Maybe I just want to go do the rim to rim to rim. Yeah. Just something different to challenge myself.
Absolutely.
Another venue.
Yeah. I think as men, we all kind of crave that challenge and that measuring stick. And I know for me, I seek out situations where I want to find out what am I made of.
Right.
How much am I willing to suffer? And I think that's an important piece of any real serious backcountry hunt is just you have to be willing to just adapt, suffer, and know we can do it. And that's where we were. We had some really fun times on that.
Who's the older brother? I don't know.
I am.
You are?
Yep, just by a couple of years.
And you're, what, 41 too?
42.
Yeah, because you came in at 40 at the train to hunt race I was at. I thought, that's crap.
Yeah, we're both in our 40s, and so we know we understand that. I mean, we're not 25 anymore.
Right.
We know that it's tougher and tougher as we go, and it's funny how your priorities change as you get older. My priority used to be just strength and size, and now it's a lot more about endurance and mobility and durability. I want to be because nothing's going to shut you down quicker than being injured.
So you guys have been reaching out to the outfitters, but the other thing too that we got to consider is that and through the traintohunt.com, people can go find out a bunch of stuff about it there, the 14-week programs and your methodology of what you're doing. But you guys, I was driving to Denver, and I caught the first Train to Hunt podcast.
Yeah.
So now you guys are on the fastest growing medium, right, of getting information out, right?
Right.
And that's going to do a world of good at getting you into more households and into more people.
Right.
And that's awesome.
And we hope so. I mean, that was the whole idea of starting the podcast was just that we knew we had an audience already. And we were doing quite a few podcasts. And you
guys have been all over the place.
Yeah, and we really like to do them.
Yeah.
But we thought, let's do a podcast. And of course, having, quite a bit on our plate already, we thought, we'll just throw out one a month and we'll give people some information, introduce them to some people that we feel like are trained to hunt people. And it's really fun. I really enjoy the podcast. I think people are going to really have a good time listening to our podcast because we're going to introduce them to some really solid folks that have some really great stories and it's fun.
Yeah, I mean, you guys got, you've within the Train to Hunt family that I've even met. I mean,
we have access to some.
And then just the variant of those people,
right?
And their backgrounds and where they're at in Train to Hunt at whatever level, whether they're podium guys that have been defending themselves nationally, or you got these guys that are just getting in, and then even down to some kids that you can talk to. I mean,
absolutely.
That I would do kid podcasts in a heartbeat because if you can get it once you can break the stigma that they're like, oh my God, I'm talking to somebody and like, oh, there's a camera looking at me and all this stuff, right? Man, if you can just get them in a natural setting, man, it's just you're amazing.
Yeah. And we're definitely going to do a podcast live, or a podcast at the kids only event.
I hope so,
and just get their take on it, and it'll be super fun to just because kids are so honest, and they're
you better have a good editor.
You're gonna have
at least at least they'll be respectful. They won't be cussing.
Right. That's right.
Like me.
It's fun. It's a new thing for us. We didn't want to bite off too much more than we could chew, but it's like you said, it's another way to bring information to people, and it's a fast
medium to deliver information in the world.
Absolutely.
Why would you not?
Yeah, and hopefully we can touch more lives through it. You know what I mean?
Oh, you will, absolutely, you will.
Yeah.
I mean, Pete, that's where people are going for things. They really want it. They want. I mean, because they can do it anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, they can listen to your Train to Hunt podcast, and even if you're getting deep into some of your series, your programs, and things like that, they're doing it while they're on the treadmill.
Yeah,
that's right.
And they're going, or they're doing it while they're doing something. Like, man, I've been looking for something to change this boring deal up.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Boom. They got an outlet.
Yep.
You know. I mean, or like me, I'm driving, flying, working out. Hiking the mountain.
Yep.
I mean, this may seem bad, but there's certain places where I go to hunt where I don't even hunt in between A and B.
Yeah, I know a lot of guys like that.
Because I know there's 50 people there already.
Yeah.
Right.
And so when I'm going A to B, man, in order to get there efficiently and timely, I put my headphones in and listen to a podcast.
And go.
And I go.
Yeah.
And then when I know I hit my razor ridge and I got this and that, and I'm like, okay. And then I take my headphones out and I strip my clothes off and I put my hunting clothes on and I get myself in and then boom.
Yep.
Time to slow down and get into the woods energy, right?
That's it.
Get the wilderness attitude on, man, and the wilderness energy, and then start doing my thing.
That's right.
I got friends that go with me, and they're like, "You're gonna what? What are you?" I'm like, well, dude, I'm getting ready to do 2,000 vertical feet. I don't want to talk to you. It's hard enough to hike this thing without talking to you.
That's right.
And he's like, yeah, but what if? I'm like, well, what if? And you be ready.
Yeah, right.
I'll range for you.
That's right. Hey, I know a guy who hunts solo most of the time. Kills big elk every year. Same way. When he's going in, headphones, gets to a spot, tucks it away. Now I'm elk hunting.
Yeah.
And he kills it. He kills it. Kills big bulls every year.
I don't think. Well, I got one little honey hole. Really, to be honest with you, it's silly. It's so close to a highway, and it's right behind a subdivision, and most people don't know that this state land even exists. And I mean, I got some listeners right now. I got listeners right now. They know where I'm at. They already know where I'm at.
Yeah.
No, they're just friends.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. But for the most part, I mean, that's that good thing after work, that good thing when I got just an hour and a half and I can blast in there in 12 minutes and I hunt for an hour, breaking light either way, and come back out and be home for dinner. But otherwise, man, I don't see anything less than 7 miles, man. I'm out of here.
Yeah. And more and more people are understanding that in order to, and people are seeking out places where they're not going to see another hunter.
Yeah.
And it's funny because there's so many more people doing that you're starting to see more hunters. You're like, you get 5 miles back, and you're like, is that a
It used
headlamp?
to be 2 miles, and it used to be 3, and now it's 5, and now it's 7, and next year it's probably 9. I don't know.
Right. Which is great.
It's just like the point system in Colorado. Every year it's a couple more points.
creep.
Every year it's a couple more miles.
Point creep.
And now it's hunter creep.
Hunter creep.
So you got to just keep pushing. But I don't know. But there's some. I can't get enough of it. I mean, I've only been hunting for 7 or 8 years, and now it's it, man.
Yeah.
It's it.
It's such a. What's funny is it's hard to do it justice, right? Like when you say, so what is it about? Like, what is it? It's really tough to explain in a way that's just like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I mean, you can explain like, what it feels like to get up and see the sunrise, to be in a place where there's no traffic, there's no lights, there's no distractions, there's the sound of a bugling bull, there's the excitement of the bull coming in, there's the the camaraderie that's built in a backcountry situation. But to sum it up, it's really tough. I think it's because it's so individualized.
Yeah. How many different ways have you heard it delivered, right? But my thing is you can watch all the shows you want. You can do this. You can have the best cinematography. You can have whatever you want. You can have it all. But until your eyes and your 2 feet are standing there, and you witness this emotionally and physically and mentally, I don't know what to tell you.
Right.
I mean, I can give you my 2 cents. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Right. It was breathtaking. It was emotional. I cried. My legs hurt. My lungs hurt.
And, it was the best time ever.
And it was awesome. And they just look at you like, and Dallas Smith once told me, it doesn't matter what you're doing up there. Like, he told this story one of my very first podcasts, and he drew a sheep tag, and he cruised up, and he was the only sheep tag in the unit.
Wow.
And he cruises up, gets up at 3 in the morning, hits this trail, man. He's got X amount of vertical to hit. He's going to this certain points where he can glass and look from, and he gets up there and he sets up his stuff, and he's leaning against this rock, and then he hears something. He's like, someone just cleared their throat. He's like, what the? He walks around the other side of this rock, and there's this kid just sitting there.
Really?
Yeah, lights a joint, sitting there. He's like, Dallas is like, what are you doing? He's like, well, I'm up here to see the sunrise.
Wow.
What are you doing up here? Well, I'm up here sheep hunting.
Yeah.
No shit.
Really?
Okay. And so Dallas sat there and talked to him for a little while and, whatever. And Dallas was just blown away. He's like, there shouldn't be anybody up here other than me.
Right.
In my mind, I'm the only one that has a tag to be in this unit.
Right.
But little do you realize that this guy's going up there, get stoned, watch the sunrise come up, and take it all in.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things like, well, whatever your vehicle or motivation is, just go outside, get up there and go do it.
That's
I mean, I'm not here to promote going and getting stoned on the top of a mountain at 12,000 feet or then whatever, but, but the point is that until you're there in real life, your feet, your eyes, your senses, and you can take it in, I can only describe it the best way I can.
You won't get it.
And you can't even describe it,
Yeah,
really. There's no words sometimes.
Try describing a roller coaster, right? Watch all the roller coasters you want. People come off, wow, that was so fun. You're going to be like, oh, yeah, that's cool, whatever. Then you get on the roller coaster, do it, and then you're like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. It's a little bit, I mean, there's some parallels there. Like, you can watch
all
you want, and you're like, I don't see what the big deal is. Oh, go get on it and experience it.
Yeah.
It's an experience, right?
Yeah, even the difference between the new roller coasters and the old wooden roller coasters, right?
Right.
Yeah, when that wooden roller coaster moves like 3 feet on a turn, you're like, whoa, wait a second, man. That's not supposed to happen. And then you find out, oh, yeah, if it didn't happen, you would have flown off, right?
Right.
No, we designed it so that it does move that far. And you're like, and up here, it doesn't make sense, but it, engineering-wise, it made sense, right?
That's funny.
Well, guys, I really appreciate having you on. Thank you so much for taking the time, man. You guys are idols of mine, and I'm not like whatever, but totally, you guys embody the right spirit and the right mentality, and you created something that passes that down and gives people life, and gives people direction, and gives people something to look forward to every day when he gets out of bed, and and you're shaping lives, you're touching people, you're touching kids, you're bringing families back together, and your mission statement is working.
Good. That's good.
It's working.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you getting us on the podcast.
Well, it's been my pleasure.
Yeah.
I've been waiting a long time, man. Thanks so
Thanks,
much.
Brandon.
I appreciate you both.
Thanks, Brandon.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in to Wilderness Attitude Podcast. These guys are going to learn this too, right? Is that, man, we need a review. We need some stars. We do this for you. Well, we do it for us. Sure. I mean, I do it for me.
Sure.
I have to say that. But we're doing this for you. We really hope you enjoy it. And if you enjoyed it, go give us 5 stars. If you think we suck, give me 1 star and then tell me why I suck, because I want to do it better for you. So thanks for tuning in. Have a great day.